Empaths and narcissists may seem like oil and water, but sometimes these two seemingly incompatible personalities can end up in one of the most intimate relationships imaginable. Marriage? But how does this work? What happens when a relationship where one partner takes and the other gives unconditionally? Today we will explore exactly what happens when empaths marry narcissists, drawing upon real-life experiences and insights from both psychology and personal narratives. Why do they attract each other? What are the major problems that arise in this type of marriage? And finally, how can empaths break free from these toxic unions without losing themselves in the process? You might think that the differences between these two personality types would make it impossible for them to form a lasting bond. However, in the complicated game of human relationships, nothing is ever that simple. The initial attraction can be powerful and almost hypnotic. An empath is often attracted to a narcissist's seemingly confident demeanor and grandiosity because it mirrors their own unmet needs for admiration and validation. The narcissist, in turn, becomes fixated on the empath's capacity for unconditional love and validation. In the beginning, this dynamic can be very intoxicating for the empath, who might see it as a chance to save or heal the narcissist, as well as validating and fulfilling for the narcissist. It seems too good to be true, right? Well, it is. In any case, the red flags that should be obvious to everyone else are missed by the empath. The empath's compassionate lens can distort their perception of the narcissist's manipulative tactics and harmful actions, which they may misinterpret as quirky habits or even endearing character traits. This is how the facade of a seemingly perfect relationship is born. We have seen this scenario play out in real life in couples like Jim and Pam from the US version of The Office. Initially attracted to each other's contrasting qualities, they quickly fall into a pattern where Pam caters to Jim's whims while he, in turn, uses her kindness and devotion to manipulate her into giving up her dreams and ambitions. It may be fiction, but this story mirrors the experiences of countless empath-narcissist couples. But let's take a closer look at what happens behind closed doors in these kinds of marriages. While initial attraction might be strong, maintaining a relationship long-term requires trust, mutual respect, and compromise. Unfortunately, these elements are often lacking in empath-narcissist marriages. The empath enters the relationship wanting to nurture and care for their partner, but soon finds themselves caught in a one-sided transaction where their energy, time, and resources are constantly drained without reciprocity. The narcissist spouse uses the empath's inherent desire to help as a means to control and manipulate the relationship. This can manifest in various ways, from guilt-tripping to outright The empath might find themselves constantly giving to the narcissist without receiving anything in return, yet still feeling emotionally and physically depleted. As the empath continues to pour their heart and soul into the marriage, the narcissist grows increasingly distant and detached, seeing the empath as nothing more than a source of supply. This gradual realization that the marriage is built on an uneven foundation can lead to feelings of resentment, confusion, and self-doubt in the empath. They might start questioning themselves and their abilities as partners, friends, or family members. After all, they must be doing something wrong since their spouse doesn't show them the same love and affection they so freely give. Right? Wrong. These feelings of emptiness and disillusionment become a recurring theme in the empath's life, creating a roller coaster of emotions that can be incredibly difficult to navigate. As the marriage continues, the narcissist's true colors begin to show. Their manipulative and controlling behavior towards the empath becomes more pronounced, leading to a breakdown in communication and emotional intimacy. The narcissist will employ tactics like gaslighting and blame shifting to keep the upper hand in the relationship. They will deny or minimize the empath's feelings, making them question their own reality. Additionally, the narcissist might use projection to shift their own negative traits and behaviors onto the empath, further distorting the empath's sense of self. To make matters worse, the narcissist often isolates the empath from their support system, whether through emotional manipulation or even physical constraint. This serves to increase the empath's dependence on the marriage and makes it harder for them to seek help or validate their experiences. The empath, wanting to preserve the relationship, may try to adapt to the narcissist's demands, but this only enables the narcissist and escalates the toxic behavior. The marriage becomes a battlefield where the empath is constantly fighting to be heard, seen, and respected, but their efforts often go unrecognized or worse, manipulated by the narcissist. For the empath, living in this environment can be emotionally and mentally taxing, leading to heightened levels of stress, anxiety, and even depression. They may experience physical symptoms like exhaustion, insomnia, or digestive issues due to the chronic stress of living in a one-sided, manipulative relationship. It's like trying to pour water from an empty cup. The empath's inherent desire to give and care for others is constantly thwarted by the narcissist's insatiable need for control and admiration. This creates a significant imbalance in the relationship, leaving the empath feeling drained, unheard, and unseen. But why does the empath stay? Why don't they leave, you might ask? Well, it's important to remember that the empath's journey is not a passive one. They actively try to improve the relationship and salvage what they can, especially if children or a shared life are involved. The empath's belief in the inherent goodness of people can also play a role in their reluctance to leave. They may hold on to the hope that the narcissist can change or that the relationship can somehow become more balanced. However, the truth is that narcissistic personalities do not change. The empath's repeated efforts to fix the relationship or the narcissist often backfire, leading to more manipulation and emotional abuse. This cycle of hope and despair can be incredibly difficult for the empath to escape. The fear of being alone or the hope that things will eventually get better can keep the empath trapped in a toxic and harmful marriage. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The empath's strength and resilience shine through in the aftermath of these failed attempts. Despite the emotional toll it takes on them, they eventually reach a breaking point where they realize that the marriage has become too toxic and detrimental to their well-being. At this point, the empath begins to reclaim themselves. They start to reevaluate their choices and prioritize their own happiness and health. They might seek therapy or join support groups to help them process their experiences and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Leaving a narcissistic spouse is no easy feat. It often involves a great deal of courage, planning, and emotional resilience. The empath must be prepared to face not only the practical challenges of divorce, but also the emotional trauma of being separated from a partner they may have given too much of themselves to. Post-separation trauma is common in these cases, and the empath might struggle with feelings of betrayal, abandonment, and grief. Rebuilding trust, establishing new boundaries, and learning to love themselves again become crucial steps in the empath's journey towards healing. While every situation is unique, the empath's strength and determination to forge a new path for themselves pave the way for a brighter future. It's important to emphasize that the empath's ability to set boundaries, recognize red flags early, and practice self-compassion are key to preventing themselves from entering into unhealthy relationships. Educating themselves about narcissistic patterns and strengthening their support systems outside of potentially toxic relationships are also vital. Navigating the complexities of an empath-narcissist marriage is a challenging journey, but it's one that sheds light on the strength, resilience, and capacity for growth within the empath. By understanding the dynamics at play and recognizing the signs of an unhealthy relationship, empaths can better protect themselves and prioritize their own well-being. Ultimately, it's about empowering empaths to find and maintain relationships that are built on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine love.